Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
You sure? It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee?
I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it.
Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning. How are you? I am feeling really good this morning, despite being a little bit late this morning. I was up this morning at 1 o'clock, or about 1:30, 1 o'clock, 1:30, something like that. Got to the computer, started working. I've been clearing a lot of things off the list here. I've still been trying to implement a lot of systems because systems are better than goals over the past, several weeks. And I was trying to do that with the target of being able to start writing again on things on November 1st. And we are closing in on that. And I might be able to do it. I'm going to sit here and work all today on this. So I'm feeling really good about where I am. I hope that you are too. We're closing in on the end of the year here. I mean, 2 more months here. So we are barreling toward this. I hope that you are feeling productive. I am. I didn't want to go back to sleep. I've gone completely biphasic over the past couple of weeks, at least. I don't know. I've gone completely biphasic with the sleep schedule. So I'll wake up like that. And this was one of the earliest mornings. I went ahead and woke up. I was like, I do not want to go back to sleep. I want to be able to work all throughout this day. So I woke up. I chugged. It wasn't a 3-liter of Mountain Dew. It was a 2-liter of Mountain Dew. So I chugged this 2-liter of Mountain Dew this morning, sometime between, like 1 and 2 o'clock. And then that didn't work. By 5 o'clock, I still went back to sleep. So I still did some biphasic sleep schedule, but I had just enough here. So we will have some for our breathe and sip right here. So, but anyway, lots of work done this morning. Met Retro Nerd Girl and Doug were in the coffee shop this morning. We're going to talk more about that on Sunday. So I was there. We're talking to them at about 4 o'clock this morning about things that are going on. So I'm really excited. I feel like maybe if some of these systems get implemented, there are so many projects that are on the docket that have got to get done. And maybe we're finding ways to do them. Let's see who's here. We got the Titter Pig Rancher. That's Sable. Hopefully, Sable, have you released anything on your channel yet? I'm not sure. I know Doug has been working on his first video for his channel. He was working on that. I don't know if he minds if I say what it is, but he's working on a video specifically about the Heroine's Labyrinth and what's the one with Hannibal Lake? Silence of the Lambs. He's been working hard on a video of it, and he's finding out that making set piece YouTube videos is not something that just happens. He's been working on editing this video for a while. So content's still coming for the Titter Pig Rancher and Doug. Doug's been working hard on that this morning. It's one of the things he's been editing for the mornings while we've been working on working in the coffee shop. So that's coming. Charlie, good morning, Charlie. Good morning. Hey, BGD, good to see you. Hope you are doing well. Great to see you this morning. And good morning, Brent. Good morning. Good morning. Let's see. So I got at least a couple of links for you this morning. So tomorrow, I've been trying to market this morning. I got some more stuff to send out. So let me bring this up, but let me also go over here. Hang on. Right here. So tomorrow night. No, that's not. Wait, no, that's not right. I mean, it is right. I'm gonna show that in just a moment, though. Oh, I know what I did wrong. I was opening a tab instead of a window. So tomorrow night, one of our traditions is that we watch The Cultists on Halloween night. I've done that. You know, like one year I actually had it going for 24 hours here on this. That's why it was over here on this channel. I'm not gonna do that, but I think that the watching it is a fantastic tradition. So at 7:00 p.m. Central Time tomorrow night, if you are looking for a Halloween party and you don't have one, well, hey, we're going to be having a Halloween party over here. Now, this is the link. Let me give you this link over here because this is to the Cultists channel. And it would be great if we were able to get some watch hours over on the Cultist channel. The Cultists watch party. We're going to do season 1 because I haven't re-released season 2 yet. That'll be next year. Season 1 right there. And it would be great if you watch it over there to get some hours on the Cultists channel itself. I realized that I probably should dual stream it to the Tabletop RPG, to the Table Talk channel. And maybe this one, even if I turn them off later and just leave the Cultist one up to get some more viewership on it, but also because the Cultist channel is not yet monetized. So you can't send in super chats or things like that. So I might want to go ahead and dual stream it on the Table Talk channel so that like super chats would be enabled. But it would be great if it were generally watched on the Cultist channel in order to get some watch hours over there. That would be huge. So tomorrow, 7:00 p.m., we're going to go through all of season 1, which is an hour long. But James Bacon, Better with Bacon, I don't see him in the chat yet, is going to be with us for commentary. I know he wants to talk about some of the themes of the show, and so he hasn't gotten to talk about that yet. You know, we did a show with Brianna and Doug, but Better with Bacon is going to be the special guest. I have invited some other people from the cast and crew. It's actually what I was doing this morning. One of the things I was doing this morning. I wrote an email out to everybody in the cast and crew and said, hey, if you'd like to join us, even if you just want to drop in and say hi, you're welcome to, and send out those links. So we might have some. I sent that out like 3 o'clock this morning, so I haven't had anybody, I don't think, right back. Maybe they have. I just haven't checked email since I had my second phase of sleep. But we might have some other people come in and drop in and say hi as well. So that right there is going on. Hey, let me also show you. I don't know if anybody's on Facebook or not. Whoop, not this. I have been trying to get the word out about this. I'm going to put out some emails about this as well. But let's go over to everything is slow. Okay. There is a cultists YouTube, a Facebook page right here. If anybody is on this right here, is he running a stream immediately afterwards? I didn't know that. Oh, hey, good morning, PH. So I'm gonna put the cultists on Facebook. So if you would like to be able to share something out, if you get on Facebook, I'm expanding what I've been using here, so I've been advertising, of course, YouTube, but also on Facebook here. So like I put out a video here or a post about our watch party right here with the link, so you can share that. You're going to be discussing alignment in RPGs tomorrow night? I thought that was tonight. I don't have this set up wrong, do I? No, October 31st at 7 p.m. I think that Better with Bacon is doing that, I thought tonight. I thought that was on the 30th. But anyway, also over here, so if you are, I put together a Facebook page to be able to share stuff out. Okay, that's what I thought. So James Bacon, alignment in RPGs tonight. Yeah, and then on the Cultist channel, we'll be doing the Cultist live watch party. We're doing the live watch party on Halloween. So anyway, but yeah, I just put this over here. So there is a Facebook group too. So over here. So if you're on Facebook and you want to follow the Cultists over there and maybe share some stuff out because you've got some people who would be interested in knowing what's going on, that is available. Then on Sunday, so over here, this isn't maybe the best thumbnail right here, but on Sunday over here on this channel, The Morning Grind, we're going to be, I went ahead and put this up because we're going to be doing basically some planning here because I think, because like I said, I'm closing out some projects here to systematize, I think, some promotion of things we're going to be doing. But I want to plan out kind of where we're going and topics on Table Talk. Basically everything that has was ever shot on the Heath's Geekverse channel that needs to go over to the Table Talk side is over there. I've been so we need some new episodes. We've been thinking about this idea about literature for men, and I've got a whole bunch of things that I've been listening to on audiobook and taking a bunch of notes on. I'm getting closer to being done with Fire and Blood. I have a lot of thoughts on that now. I finally got done with the part that was actually the dance of the dragons. And of course, we watched the first 2 seasons of Fire and Blood. And I have some thoughts now on that story and adapting it for television and all of that. So I'm ready for that. Well, I'm not quite done with the book yet, the whole book yet, but I got through the main Dance of the Dragons part, and I've got some ideas. But then we'll talk about maybe some of the things that we want to reach out, that we want to cover. Literature for Men sounds like a cologne. Maybe that could be our tie-in tie-in product. What we want to cover and schedule some things, and also I want to schedule some coffee shop. We need to get back to the coffee shop for some gaming. We need to schedule that, actually come up with a systematic way to actually get gaming done over there. So I'm planning on Sunday being a big planning session, and so if you're here, you can join in on this. We'll plan some tabletop games. We'll plan some live streams. We'll come up with what kind of projects and what kind of direction we're going over the next few months here in the Geekverse. So that's here. And if you're not signed up, there's the $500 giveaway. I should go ahead and put this out too. We have as of this morning, I've been able to get signups going again. So we're kind of in a holding pattern to do something like launch the Cultists Kickstarter until we have kind of a critical mass. That's going to be important for all the projects we've got going here, having some kind of critical mass. Let me put this link in here. Here is the $500 giveaway. So if you're not signed up over here, got it right there. Please sign up. We have this morning, I was looking at my numbers and we got 650 people signed up. So I got us moving again. We got 650 people signed up over there. Hopefully, I'm going to put out an email to all of them and let them know about the Halloween watch party tomorrow. And maybe we'll have some people show up, and hopefully we'll have an involved community. Hey, good morning, Better with Bacon. We've been talking about you. And we will see. So, but we need more signups to be able to launch the Kickstarter and then to actually start really progressing with projects. But I'm working on that. Hey, Michael. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you. And meanwhile, we had 4,595 subscribers over on the Cultists channel. So maybe some of them will show up for the live stream too. So of the 650 people who have been on the email list and now the 4,595 people who have subscribed to the channel, maybe we will have somebody show up for our live show out of them and have a great party. Anyway, I'm hoping so. So we will see. We're working the system. We are growing here. So that's what's going on. Our main topic for today, I think, is to conclude Shadows of Brimstone and what will probably be the conclusion of our series analyzing adventure games, like dungeon crawling adventure games, unless at some point we can get a copy of the League of Dungeoneers. I might need to reach out to them or something like that. We might need to look at that. But I think that's one of the things that I think we need to make the turn here when we start planning on Sunday and things like that. I think it's time to start working on game design again. Game design and the world building and stuff like that, especially if I can start writing again on Monday, not on November 1st, All Saints Day. So, all right, let's do that. We need to do our breathe and sip. Now, let's go ahead and do that right here. I've got the Mountain Dew in our Cultist coffee mug right here. So let's do 2 deep inhales in through the nose, out through the mouth. Deep inhales, complete exhales, and then take a sip of your favorite beverage this morning, whatever it is. So here we go. Let's go. And sip. Or how about gulp? I can't fall asleep again. All right, let's bring up where we were. I hope everybody else is feeling good and productive this morning. Let's see. BGD says the discussions on James Bacon's Better with Bacon channel have been excellent. TPR has added the depth of several of the added to the depth of several of these conversations. If you don't catch that stream, definitely. If you didn't catch that stream live, definitely rewatch them. Yes, I can hop in sometimes, and I've listened to some of them live, but I have also been watched some of them in catch up. I definitely recommend it. Yes. So if you're not subbed over to the Better with Bacon channel, absolutely do it. And he's got a lot of material over there with the live streams and things that are fantastic. And I was on the channel last Sunday to talk about Dragon Slayer, the show Dragon Slayer, or it may have been 2 Sundays ago, whenever it was, and had a fantastic time. It was wonderful. Oh, Titterpig says went to vote at 7 a.m. this morning, drank coffee, and I'm buzzing away, ready to go this morning. Oh, that reminds me that when we're talking about planning and scheduling, I don't see any point in doing a table talk next Tuesday. I'll put that out, but a 7 o'clock table talk next Tuesday, that's the U.S. elections. Everybody, I'm sure, will be watching election returns and all of that. I don't see any point in doing a table talk. So there won't be a table talk on election night. But we do have Arcane coming out soon. So Arcane is about to come out. So that's I'm kind of moving us away from topical topics, which might be a bad idea. But it's difficult to just stay with everything else going on. It's difficult to stay on top of, hey, whatever's being on TV right now, we need to talk about. And it's not really a review channel. I think we're better when we're taking time to do more detailed analysis of something. But Arcane, we really liked. Doug wants to talk about it. I want to talk about it. Brianna wants to talk about it. So November 12th, I think it comes out November 9th. So November 12th is the next Tuesday after that, and that will be an Arcane season 2 discussion. So if you want to watch Arcane November 12th, we'll put this out and I'll put the schedule someplace, probably in the Discord server. But November 12th on the Table Talk channel, we'll do Arcane season 2. Or at least I think Brianna said she said that they were going to drop 3 episodes. So we'll at least the 3 episodes. So Titterpig says the Arcane is going to be a phenomenon. I can't wait for it, and yet I dread for it as well. If I cried at episode 3 and 9 of the first season, I can only imagine what season 2 is going to do to me. I hope that it is excellent. I hope that it is absolutely excellent. We will see. Closing in on that. So anyway, that's kind of like what's coming up. We talked about throwing dynamite last time, right? So this is so we're still in the main core rule book here, and there was just a lot. This is what page are we actually on? If this were the print book, page 26. So there's quite a bit here to this, and then there is the adventure book as well. So it also I think what it calls the adventure book was basically the RPG book, which was going back to the town on the Wild West and all that, which was a lot of fun. And I was thinking about that in terms of like what the names of these things are, because we have the RPG book. And I thought, hey, that's a pretty good way to divide this. If we've got the like the adventure game, and then you want to expand it to a whole RPG. But once we actually read the RPG book for something like Warhammer Quest, it was definitely an expansion of that game. It's a role-playing book that's an expansion of that game. It's not Warhammer Fantasy role-playing. That there's still something different. If you take Warhammer Fantasy if you take the 2 books for Warhammer Quest and put those together, it's still not exactly it's not entirely a role-playing game as we typically a free-form role-playing game. It's still not that. So there's still room for Warhammer Fantasy. Now, what I just realized, I just walked into what is a role-playing game that James Bacon talks about on his channel. Brent says, I'm going to have to subscribe to all our Geekverse associated channels. Sounds like a great community development is going on. It is. I think we have some way to get them off the ground here. But yeah, we're developing our own little network. I mean, even beyond the different channels that I run, we're developing such a cool little network, and I think that's great. So that gives us, I think, opportunity for a lot of air here. A lot of people are developing channels, and when you're growing, you have to kind of find who is, at your level, right, and then kind of grow with them. And we're doing that. I think we're doing that. All right, so let's take a look at enemy movement. When a type of enemy is activated, this is Shadows of Brimstone. This is the Wild West Cthulhu game, which was a lot of fun. I have played this one. A friend of mine backed it on Kickstarter, wanted to play, got it all out on the dining room table. Lots of stuff. Had a great time. I think I played it twice. So as discussed above, all the enemies of a specific type are activated together. The first thing that enemies do is to target heroes and then move toward them to attack. Targeting heroes and movement. Although all of the enemies in a specific type are activated together, they choose their targets and move one at a time, starting with an enemy model that is closest to the heroes. If more than one are equal distance, you may choose the order in which they are moved. The first enemy model targets a random hero that they can reach within their move distance and a clear path to get there. So monster AI is also important. This is their AI. That enemy is said to be targeting the selected hero to attack and is moved as far as can be to be placed next to the hero, because there's no Zargon or Game Master here. This will usually have the enemy move to the far side of that hero. Oh, it's moved as far as it can be to a space adjacent to that hero. This will usually have the enemy move to the far side of that hero, getting in behind them and making way for other enemies. So that one enemy won't block the other. It's often a good idea to have the enemy models physically turned to face the hero they are targeting, so it's very clear when each hero is where each enemy is placing its attacks. Then the next closest enemy model will target a different random hero with the least number of enemies of that type targeting and within reach. Okay, so next enemy targets a random hero, not including the one that was just targeted, with the least number of enemies that are that type that are targeting it and are within reach. In this way, the enemies are moved to be evenly spread, targeting all the different heroes, though some heroes will likely have more enemies reach to them than others. Though some heroes will likely have more enemies reach them than others due to paths being blocked or not enough movement. This process continues until all activating enemies have been moved. We don't have, like, what do you call it? Aggro. Does Gloomhaven have you could get really sophisticated with your targeting here, but I wonder how much is too much. Spreading them all equally, like if the barbarian is most threatening, or maybe that's a special ability or something like that to pull aggro or something. Any enemies or keep them from attacking or something. So we do have an example of enemy movement staying on target. Once an enemy targets a hero, it will continue to target and attack that hero until they are KO'd or until the hero is no longer adjacent. Enemies do not change target based on who is attacking them. If the hero being targeted by an enemy moves away or is KO'd, the enemy will select a new hero using that same process above. In this way, if a hero is feeling overwhelmed, they can always try to escape and run away in the hopes that the enemy targeting them will choose a new target and target a different target in their next action. Large-sized enemies have special built-in ability to brush aside and push past smaller enemies to reach the heroes. Whenever a large-sized enemy or bigger is selecting a hero target, they may move through all other enemies that are medium or small size that would normally block their path. I think that having like a size or height, having a height, I think is going to be important. This is maybe size is a little bit different. Enemies that can see over each other, because everybody, like in Hero Quest, wants the wizard to be able to cast a spell over the dwarf, which I do think makes sense. But then that requires like some type of height statistic. But I think that's okay. This is large. This is the large enemies that can move through smallers. So this is a little bit different. I take it these are on larger bases. Enemies that reach the heroes, so they have a spelled-in special ability. Whenever a large-size enemy or bigger is selecting a target hero, they may move through other enemies that are medium or small size that would normally block their path. As the large enemy moves, it may enter a medium-small enemy space, displacing that smaller enemy into the space the large enemy just left. In this way, the large enemy swaps places with the smaller one to push it past and get closer to the hero. I like that rule. That's like the Balrog or a troll pushing its way through the goblins. Oh, I don't have my notes sitting right here. I do kind of like that one because that is troll pushing the way through the goblins. So you really want the troll, if the troll is trying to get someplace, to not be able to do it. When I'm thinking about like the Lord of the Rings Battle of Moria in the Chamber of Mazar-Bul from from the movie at least, the troll comes in, or an ogre, right? Crazed harpooner or an ogre or something like that, right? So how do the enemies attack? Rolling to hit for an enemy attack works just like it does for a hero attack. The only difference is the enemies do not get critical hits on the roll of a 6. Some enemies do, however, have the special ability that may be triggered by hit rolls. So this is asymmetric in that sense. We talked about, hey, it feels good when you get to randomly do cool stuff, but how do you handle when the enemy does that to you? Suddenly it doesn't feel so cool. So this was just no critical hits for bad guys. Aggro is something that kind of comes from video games. I'm torn on how much I like the idea of managing or dictating aggro as part of a tabletop RPG. Yeah, no, like the barbarian doing something like I said, attracting them or getting rid or making them not attack. It actually makes it seems to be that would make the most sense to me that he would like frighten them as they would not attack. Making them attack you is different. The only way, like aggro, I think by itself doesn't exactly make a whole lot of sense to me. But what does make sense to me is that you're attacking something that you consider the highest threat. Like, okay, I'm the bad guys are looking at your adventuring party and they're making an assessment about which one is the most threatening. And then they're going to attack that. So maybe you call that aggro. That comes out of the tabletop, the video games. But does it make sense that if you got the 4 heroes that they're all four equally threatening. And that this kind of implies that because they don't make a judgment call. There's no judgment call based on who is most threatening. So you could, if you got like 3 wimpy guys and then, a barbarian guy, maybe everybody's like, oh my God, that barbarian guy, we got to take down. And so they all attack that. That's kind of like aggro. But that's in the sense that, like, I'm going to look like the most imposing, like I'm going to be the most threatening in order to draw their attacks. But what is considered most threatening is probably going to be something that is situationally dependent. Maybe it's not always the barbarian. That's why using some kind of mechanic like that, I think, might be too much, because that could also be bad guy dependent and situation dependent. Like if the barbarian can't reach you or something, that then you've got to override because the elf might be able to shoot you, and so you've got to be able to move to the elf. So there's probably something that's more sophisticated there that may or may not be worth it. Titterpig says, I feel like the idea of a taunt style skill or ability came from tabletop RPGs originally forcing an enemy to attack you, but I couldn't pinpoint when or where, and by now it feels like that's a gameism. Well, yeah, isn't there's some of that in 5th edition, right? Yeah, Crazed Harpooner says, that's a point of heavy discussion. Like maybe an average intelligence creature that values combat with strong opponents will probably choose taking on the muscular barbarian over the puny wizard, even if a wizard can cast powerful spells. Yeah. Because, I mean, definitely in all of this, you've got to think, how much time do we want to spend moving the monsters? And we should probably take a look at what's going on with his name just slipped my mind. Terran Pounds. Indestructiboy. That's the word. Yeah, Terran Pounds. Indestructiboy. Because he's big on monster AI in the RPG, and I am too. The question is, how do you do it elegantly? Because I think they should act differently. And probably having them act according to role is something. But it's got to move fast. It's got to move fast. If it's always... See, one of the things that I've mentioned before that I didn't necessarily like about this game, but here, Warhammer Quest might have had the same issue, which may not be an issue to other people at all, but there were just tons and tons of monsters. Well, I know. I was just saying that it seemed to be in that game, right? And not necessarily that it was first, but was it in that game? I was just asking. Anyway, that there are just tons and tons of monsters on the board. And so they end up, it seems like in both this game and Warhammer Quest, take a whole bunch of these monsters and then basically try to equally distribute them across the different heroes. And of course, that does also get all the heroes engaged. But it doesn't give you a lot of feel for the way a particular creature acts. I'm kind of feeling that if you have less bad guys too, you can spend more time on each one to figure out what it's going to do. I mean, not forever, but it's different if you got to move 3 than if you got to move 20. So that is also a contention here. Yeah, it's like if the enemies are as smart as the players, they'd know to go for the healer first, then the glass cannon nuker, and then leave the raging dude with the melee weapon that lasts since he'll be the toughest. Well, but also, in another sense, I've talked a lot about, like, how do we keep the heroes from playing optimally, from being able to play mathematically optimally. You don't want to necessarily mathematically optimize the bad guys in the middle of the melee either. I mean, that's something to think about. That's definitely something to think about. Okay, so each enemy rolls a number of dice equal to their combat value against the hero it is targeting. Every die that successfully rolls equal to or greater than the enemy's to hit value causes one hit on the hero. Note this: the game. So each die that successfully one hit. Yeah. Note that the game itself is playing, as the game itself is playing the enemies, it's up to other players to actually roll the dice for the enemy's attacks. A player should not roll the enemy attacks on their own hero. That would be bad form. Instead, one of the other players should roll the die for the enemy attacks against you. It's usually good to simply always roll the enemy attacks against the player to your left, or just to exchange, I'll roll enemy attacks on you and you roll enemy attacks against me. The something I think I've mentioned this before. I really feel like drawing cards for enemy attacks would be good in this kind of situation. I don't like rolling the attack against another player. Something about this, we talked about the psychology of the difference between drawing cards and rolling dice. It seems like we got something about the psychology of that here. Cards could be the way to go. Oh, taunt was okay. Taunt was a feat ability in 3rd edition as well, but I know it existed in RPGs prior to that. Crazed Harpooner says, yeah, if the dungeon master wants to go hard on the players, they would focus on the easiest target to take out, but that may ruin the whole experience. And, of course, what does it mean to be the easiest player to take out? Does that mean the one with the least hit points? And if it does that mean that, like, hit points, what do hit points mean? I brought this up, there's no time for a whole hit point discussion. But, like, if you're losing hit points, does that actually mean that you're visibly wounded? Because if you are visibly wounded, then, yeah, that might make sense. If hit points mean, hey, this is something that can be, the amount of damage that I'm taking is something that can be readily determined in the middle of a melee. Oh, my God, that guy is, like, really hurting. Or if he's really hurting, maybe that means you don't attack him. I don't know. It would be interesting if there was at least one mental stat which correlated to target choice based on the type of character. For the PCs, that could result in pluses or minuses. For NPCs, that could relate to their target choices. Go do it. We'll talk. I mean, I'm sure this is something we'll talk about later. That would be an interesting mechanic to explore. I'm going to write that down in my game design doc. Do it. We'll return to that idea, I'm sure, for this whole topic of discussion. So for each hero that takes a hit, they must roll a defense die to attempt to block it. Generally, a hero wants to roll all of their defense rolls from the current enemy attacks together. So if they need to, they can use a grit to re-roll all the dice that just failed. Taking damage. For each hit the hero failed to block with their defense, they take a number of wounds equal to the enemy's damage value. Completing the fight. Once all the enemies on the board have been defeated, the fight immediately ends. And it's time for the heroes to catch your breath, recover from being KO'd, collect loot from the fight. This ends the current turn as well as the fight itself. Catch your breath. Each hero is allowed to catch your breath at the end of each fight, healing D3 wounds and sanity, any mix. If the fight ended before the heroes got to activate or take any action, they instead get to heal D6 wounds or recover 1 grit. This is an extra bonus for each hero that didn't get an activation in the last fight round. I guess that's a bonus because you're getting like XP and things like that if you fight. So, right? So maybe this is saying, maybe that's why they're doing this, that, well, if you don't get the bonuses of the XP or some kind of, for actually taking out a monster, then you get to heal a little bit more. Michael Connor says, my luck was such that it would run hot and cold against NPCs, but was always horribly bad when it turned on fellow players. I would always roll insanely well, severely harming or killing when I wanted to fail. Oh, that's the vagaries of the dice, right? And randomness. Recovering from being KO'd. Any hero that was KO'd during the fight now gets to recover, placing their figure back on the board and healing D6 wounds and sanity in any mix. They do, however, also need to roll once on the injury chart or madness chart if they were reduced to 0, if their health or sanity was reduced to 0, to be long-term effects. Roll both if they're both. Drawing loot if both went to 0. Drawing loot cards. After a fight, the heroes get loot for their hard work. At the end of a fight, every hero is allowed to draw one loot card from each threat card. Draw one loot card for each threat card that added enemies to the fight, to a maximum of 3 loot cards each. This also includes each instance of enemies that were added to the fight by other means, such as darkness or encounters or the depth event chart. The loot deck has no discard pile and should be fully shuffled before the heroes draw one or more cards from it. All of the heroes draw from the loot deck at the same time. So if a group of 4 heroes got the max of 3 loot cards each, they would use all 12 cards from the loot deck. So there are only 12 cards in the loot deck. Darkstone and gold are the 2 currencies of the game that are the most common reward that can be found in the loot deck. Gold represents a mixture of coins and paper money, as well as nuggets of gold, hence the gold coin and $ on the icon. The gold prices listed on the item are meant to reflect the abstract nature of having a generalized money currency and the overinflated economy of the frontier boomtowns in the areas around Brimstone, where equipment is in short supply. So gold nuggets, for instance, says 20 XP. Money is D6 times 50. Oh, so this is why, okay, so this loot card's going back, because I guess you got to note down how much you've got, because this is D6 times 50 gold nuggets. Gold is really only used when keeping heroes from game to game and can be spent when visiting the frontier towns between adventures. Darkstone is mainly used for the campaign game as well. For forging at the blacksmith, though several items and artifacts are fueled by Darkstone even during an adventure. Yeah. So no wonder it requires shuffling after each use and nothing is discarded. Can't do much with just 12 in the deck. So, but instead of having, gold nugget here, so instead of having 50 gold and 100 gold and 150 gold cards, they decide, hey, this card will be D6 times 50, then replace it. Write it down. And I like holding on to cards, so we'll see. So what are the advanced rules? The epic threats represent much larger and deadly bosses that are rare and to come across and hard to defeat. These are most often used for final objective room fights, as noted in the details of each individual mission. 1 or 2 heroes. When the hero posse of only 1 or 2 heroes, anytime an epic threat would be needed, draw a high threat instead. Extra large enemies. Some enemies are so large and menacing that they take up multiple spaces on the game board. Oh, so extra large is... so you could be large and just take up 1 space, I guess. So an extra large takes up the multiple spaces. Extra large size enemies take up to 4 spaces on the board in a 2x2 square. When one of these enemies is being placed on the board, it uses a single one of its 4 spaces as the anchor space for movement and should be positioned so the rest of the spaces are placed into spaces that are viable and have no other models in them. So this extra large enemy could randomly select to target either of the 2 heroes shown. If targeting hero B, the enemy moves as far as it can while keeping its full base on the board at the end of its move. If targeting hero A, it will stop in front of him so as to keep the full base on the board. Let's see. In some cases, the only way for an extra large enemy to move is to overflow. To smash through the walls to get them, this is called overflowing the board and allows the enemy to hang off the edge of the map to fit in a smaller space than their base would normally allow. The enemy must keep at least half of its base on the board at the end of the move. Even though an extra large enemy takes up multiple spaces on the board, they are only ever affected once by weapons and abilities that target an area like dynamite. Most extra large boss enemies have the tough ability, which means they are immune to critical hits. For them, a critical hit just counts as a normal hit. Okay. Some enemies have the ability to give them a ranged attack. Enemies with a ranged attack will target a hero as normal. However, they will use the range of their ranged attack rather than their move value to choose their targets. This means they will target a random hero based on the range of their attack and line of sight rather than on their move and a clear path, like a normal enemy would. If there are 1 or more heroes adjacent to the enemy, it will attempt to target those heroes first. Another aspect of this is that enemies with a ranged attack will retarget each turn instead of staying with a single target that they keep attacking. Yeah, we need to account for ranged weapons. So that's interesting. They retarget each turn. which is randomly targeting. Going for hexes instead. So champion, are those both hexes? Let's see. Helping a KO'd hero. When a hero gets KO'd in a fight, it can often be a slippery slope to defeat for the rest of the posse. There are some ways that the other heroes can try to help get the fallen back into the fight. A hero that is adjacent to a KO'd hero marker may give up their attack to help that hero recover. This may only be done if there are no enemies on the same map tile as the KO'd hero marker. So a hero is adjacent to a KO'd hero marker, may give up their attack to help the hero recover. This may only be done as long as there are no heroes on the same map tile as the KO'd hero marker. That doesn't sound like it's going to happen all that often. You don't have to be on the same tile. You have to be at least within one. So if the fight's moved on someplace else, if a hero is adjacent to a KO marker and there are no enemies on the same map tile, so the battle is being fought elsewhere, the KO'd hero immediately rolls on the injury madness chart as appropriate and heals their 2d6 wounds, sanity, in any mix. Their figure is placed back on the board, but they do not get an activation in the same turn they recover, as they're still a bit dazed. So that's automatic. You just get next to them as long as the fight is in the next space. Hey, good morning, Mike. Good morning. And then they are able to get up and activate. Dragging a KO'd hero. Any hero in the same or adjacent space to a KO'd hero marker may drag that hero while they move. To do so, simply use one extra point of movement for each space you want to move while dragging the KO'd hero. So you could drag them to another map tile. I guess that's it. The KO'd hero marker will be moved along with you as you go and left in your space. If you started dragging them while on the space with the marker, or the last space you moved from if they were adjacent to you. This can be useful for getting a KO'd hero to the safety of a map tile with no enemies. Okay, so that you can try to help them recover. Got you. Two points of movement to move orthogonally and 3 points to move diagonally. That is, some people will, have the, hey, you always have, you move diagonally with 1 point, and then the next time you have to spend 2 or something like that. But hexagons just sure don't fit into things like dungeons very well. This game is different in that it's telling you, okay, we're using squares that are superimposed over our cavern-like, mine environment, but it still doesn't directly fit them all, because it's telling you, hey, the only valid squares are the ones that are at least 50% squares, right? So it seems to me that an advantage of squares is that in a artificial building, like a built dungeon or castle, you can make it so that it's always obvious exactly where you can move, and you don't have to adjudicate. Now, is this actually a square or not? Like sometimes you have to, like you often have to do with hexes. So if you're using squares, I'd want to make it. I wouldn't ever have a situation with squares where I'm like, well, you have to make a call as to whether or not this is a valid space or not. The squares would just always be immediately recognizable. To me, that's a quality of life game thing. Like, people need to be able to look at the board. That, I was talking about asking questions. I don't want you to have to ask questions. So looking at this and going, hey, now can I actually move here? Is this actually a valid square? That slows the game down. I need I want that. I don't want to have that happen. So Titterpig says, no, see, a half hex means you have a choice. What does that mean? The character has a choice whether or not they can move there? Well, okay. You can either move into it with your same orientation, or you can choose to shift your orientation or move within it. Okay, if your game's using facing and orientation. Okay, dragging a KO'd hero out. You can add more players. Creating new heroes and playing a single adventure can be a lot of fun, but keeping your hero from game to game and watching them grow is extremely rewarding. This will allow you to travel between adventures and visit frontier towns, as well as go up in levels and get new abilities and gear as you go. Different missions, leveling up heroes, traveling and visiting frontiers towns can all be found in the adventure book. Corruption and mutation. Fighting nightmarish creatures and working around Darkstone can be hazardous not to just your health and sanity, but to your soul. As heroes gain corruption points, they will begin to mutate and change over time. This is covered in detail in the adventure book. At the end of each adventure, each hero must roll d6 for every Darkstone they are carrying, including items with a Darkstone icon. For every roll of 1, 2, or 3, that hero takes 1 corruption hit from the dark influence of the Darkstone. Willpower saves may be used to prevent these corruption hits as normal. Oh, we do have dual wielding here. Most of the time, it isn't a question with hex. I've seen far more arguments over squares, really. Right. If a game doesn't take facing into account, then a half hex could be treated as somewhere you can't be in cover. If you move to it, regardless, you can make mechanical effects for half hexes. I'm sure you can, yeah. Finding a gateway to another world can be a very exciting and dangerous event. This usually happens through an exploration token with a gate icon or an encounter that adds a gate to a room. So we have gate icons and that end up with the gate end caps instead of the door caps. When a hero looks through the gate, they're seeing through the portal and into another world, across space and time, maybe even into another dimension. The hero must draw a world card to see where the gate leads. Drawing a world card. Each world card represents a different world that is available for the heroes to explore. Each core set comes with the mines and one other world. While in the mines world card should be face up near the depth track to show that it is a world the heroes are heroes are currently in. When in the mines, the mine world card should be face up near the depth track to show that that's the world the heroes are currently in. When a hero looks through an unexplored gate, they must draw a world card randomly from those not currently in play. Because this core set only includes one other world, this will always be the world in which you find on the other side of the gate. The newly drawn world card should be placed face up on the table near the depth track as well. There should be one world card in play for each world that one or more of the heroes is currently in. When there are no heroes in that world any longer, the card should be returned to the world cards deck. The other world map tiles are printed on the reverse side of the mines map tiles. There's also a map deck for the other world that represents each of the map tiles for the world. I guess we didn't play with that. I don't remember ever going into a different world. Once you have determined the other world that's through the gate, you should draw a map card for that world and put it into play. Then place a gate end cap for that world attached to the entrance of the newly placed other world tile. The two gate end caps are connected. Break into the map. To represent the distance through time and space this gate spans, there's a break in the map whenever the heroes find a gate. One side of the map ends in a gate end cap, and the other side begins with a connected gate end cap. These two sections of the board do not need to touch each other and can be positioned anywhere on the table relative to each other. The two spaces on one gate end cap are considered to be adjacent to the two spaces on the other end cap. So here we go. Here is our example right here. Exploration tokens on the other side. Movement through a gate. Because the two tiles on each side of the gate are considered to be adjacent to each other, models may move through the gate just as though the spaces on each side were directly next to each other. Seeing and attacking through a gate. I don't know what we need to say here. Let's see. Other worlds. The other world is intended to have a distinct look and feel. to it so the heroes explore and find new, wondrous, and sometimes deadly things there. This is achieved through having a unique set of map tiles as well as global effects for anyone in that world. There's also a small set of deck cards that are unique to that world. That sounds like fun. I'm thinking, man, this does sound like fun to do, like a Cthulhu adventure with the gates and going into another world. Each core set focuses all of the details on one of these other worlds. So look up expansions. World cards and global effects describes global effects that apply to the heroes currently in that world. Each other world has a unique card deck for map cards, encounters, artifacts, and other world threats. While in that other world, the card deck should be used to place the normal mind version of these decks. Should replace the normal mind version of these decks. So every other world has its own map cards, encounters, artifacts, and other world. Those would be fun to design too. When a card would be drawn from one of these decks, simply use the Otherworld version of that deck instead. Otherworld threat cards represent enemies that are unique to the alien world you are in. Through the Wandering Enemy card represents other creatures finding their way through the portal into that world. Unlike the normal threat decks that are split into low, medium, and threat decks, there's only one Otherworld threat deck, and each card in it lists the result. Oh, so this is the way it lists low, medium, and high on the same card. So I wonder why they went with that on the other world and went with separate decks in the internal world. We talked about that. Or the normal world. Normal epic threats are used for the other world as well, but any additional threat cards that have you draw should be from the other world threats. So loot cards and gear artifacts. You will likely have noticed that the loot cards that allow a hero to draw a gear card or an artifact icon have a special note on them. While in the other world, these card effects are actually reversed. So loot cards that normally let you draw a gear will let you get an artifact and vice versa. This is because there are twice as many cards that let a hero draw gear as there are for drawing an artifact. And it's meant to represent that the artifacts are more common in strange alien environments than finding a piece of gear would be. I like that too. I like that. Sounds like Planescape. Kind of does. Hex is also dealing with scatter, wide angle, AoE, and explosions more natural. I mean, generally, I like hexes. I mean, I have also been a hex fan. But I found squares are easy. Personally. Hey, guys, the Kickstarter for the Broken Empires RPG has 21 hours to go. Oh, hey, by the way, we should look at something else, too. Oh, and you know what? I also want to give away 5 of the memberships. Hang on, I need to do that. Let's bring up a few things here. Broken Empires. Let me look that up. Take this down. First, let me come over here. I'll give away 5 of these memberships since it's here. Let's go. Let's give away 5. So here we go. I'm hitting the button. Here we go. What do we get? Iron Tiger, Parabiology 101, Nicholas Alvarez, Eric Poppleton, Jonas Devlin. If any of you are in the chat right now, pop in and say hi. All right, so those are given. Plunderlust. Oh, I'm not screen sharing. Brian Colin, one of our friends, or one of my friends, has been on the channel, is also on Kickstarter with Plunderlust. So Plunderlust, an expandable card game in the Dying Universe. This is an expansion to, the vast Grim universe. Fight your way through derelict starships and stations as raider crews are plundering for survival. So he is on Kickstarter right now. There's Brian right there. Oh no, this is a big matte thing. I mean, of course, it's got the classic look of everything that's going on with Vast Grim. So this is Plunderlust right there. So Plunderlust now on Kickstarter, 54 hours to go. Brian's got. He does so much. Brian does so much. Gray Scrolls Raiders deck. I have unfortunately not as much time as I would like to have looked at this. I'm going to have to back it here. I've got it saved, so I'll back it. But yeah, so he's gone card game with Vast Grim. So check that out. Oh, tons of decks. See, and he goes crazy. I mean, this guy is so productive. I mean, when I look at what other people are doing, I feel so horrifically unproductive. It's incredible. So yeah, play mats right here. Play mats with play zones. I mean, look at all this. I mean, Brian is incredibly productive. Plunderlust booster dice pack. All right. And then our other one we need to look at. So we're talking about the Broken Empires. Right here. Clearly dominate. The Broken Empires dramatic fantasy sim light role playing. And I don't know anything about this one. So they're crushing it, obviously. $452,000 raised. Let me put the link in here so you can check it out. Broken Empires. There we go. So yes, some Kickstarter action going on. Kickstarter action going on. Let's go back over to our rule book here. Oh, and okay, so Drake, yes, okay, so Drake, he's got a book that he's still got a book that he's put out that I have not read on the subject of writing. I have not been able to be back into that writer circle with Drake because I haven't been focused on writing. But thank you for posting the link on the Discord. So yes, please do. So Drake is writing the newest Harn World fiction and it's being kickstarted. We kind of broke the news on Table Talk when we talked to him that he's writing Harn World fiction. So thank you. Let's get to that. Hey, let's take it up. Let's bring it up. Are you posting now? Morning Grind. Okay, yeah, right here. Harn World history novella. All right, hey, let me bring that up. Let's take a look. Let me take that down. Thank you for posting. So lots of stuff on Kickstarter right now. Maxwell Alexander Drake, Slaughter at Syrian by Maxwell Alexander Drake. Slaughter at Syrian is the second novella in the Carnage of Kiraz saga. You can continue or begin the saga in this Kickstarter. 5 days to go. Let me, am I logged in enough to be able to remind me? There we go. Love the look of all the knights in Harn World. A reward for all. All pledge levels receive the Tempting Teaser. Start your incredible journey with an amazing deal for just $1. The Tempting Teaser includes a story by Maxwell Alexander Drake, a beautifully crafted fantasy PDF map, and 2 other treasures. You'll experience the quality and detail of every product with the option to upgrade your pledge anytime. This is in the Discord server, thanks to Bacon. But also, here we go. Whoop. Drake story. Lots of stuff going on. All right, so that's another one to look at. Man, everybody getting stuff done. Making things happen. Thank you for letting us know about that. We're getting toward the end here. Let's see. So optional rules here. Yeah, Bacon says, I agree. Harn World isn't something I've read yet, but I like the illustrations, and I love what I hear about the crunch from people who have played it. We looked at it on the Morning Grind one morning. I've got it in a binder over here someplace. Well, it's over here someplace. Optional rules. Fixed hero move. As an option for players who do not like the idea of rolling for movement each turn, they may use the fixed hero movement optional rule. With this rule, all heroes are allowed to move 4 spaces each turn, plus any bonuses or negatives for items, abilities, injuries, etc. As many aspects of the game are based on the movement roll each turn, it's necessary to roll a die at the start of each of your hero's activations. This roll becomes the roll for grit. You still have to roll. This is a roll for grit. That's the most frequent use for the move roll than actual movement. Any rule or game element that refers to a hero's move roll now uses roll for grit. Advanced encounters. Every unique room map tile has a specific theme to it, and there's a matching encounter card in the encounter deck that shares that theme. At the bottom of each map card that represents a unique room is a red band that lists the specific encounter associated with that room. When using the Advanced Encounters optional rule, anytime a unique room is explored that lists advanced encounter, the listed advanced encounter is added to that exploration. Search the encounter deck and discard pile if needed to find the listed encounter card. Shuffle the deck afterwards. This is in addition to any other encounter attacks listed on the exploration token. Also, advanced encounters like this cannot be canceled or redrawn. For players who want a truly hardcore experience, you may play in hardcore mode. In hardcore mode, anytime a hero would be KO'd, they're instead killed, unless they recover before the start of the next turn. This is a very unforgiving playstyle and will likely lead to one or more of the players having to sit out the remainder of the game while the rest of the group keeps adventuring. It also is especially dangerous for higher level heroes, as one bad situation can kill the hero you've been playing for months. Ouch. For a slightly softer version of hardcore mode, you could still use the rule above, but allow heroes to be resurrected at the church in town. I themed threat deck. See, that sounds cool to me. That's the way this goes. I talked about theming all these decks. As more hero types become available and players start making their own missions, one fun way to create a themed adventure is to tailor-make your threat deck to only include cards of a certain enemy type. In this way, you could make a mine that's overrun with nothing but hungry dead zombies, or perhaps have a theme that only the void creatures have spilled out of a portal and are pouring into the mines. This could be done with just a single core set, but really opens up once you have more enemy types available to you. It's also very simple to do, as the threat decks are all card-based, can be easily themed and shuffled together. That, to me, is a huge advantage of that. The theming card decks, that's why you want to have like symbols on the different decks for ice or mines or something like that, so that you can assemble decks easily and then also sort them once the game's done. Dynamite can be a very powerful tool to take out groups of enemies or do damage against high defense targets. Thematically, though, dynamite is a dangerous thing is a dangerous thing to carry around in your side bag, as it's notoriously unstable. To represent this extra element of danger, you may elect to use the dangerous dynamite optional rule. Anytime a hero takes 10 or more wounds from a single source, they must roll d6 for each dynamite token they have in their side bag. For each roll of 1 or 2, that token immediately explodes, centered on the hero space. Note this only includes dynamite tokens in a hero's side bag, so if they're carrying dynamite in a different way, such as in a dynamite satchel, that dynamite is considered to be safely stored and does not need to be rolled for. Another way to make this game more deadly is to use the Below the Darkness optional rule. Whenever the darkness marker passes the hero posse marker on the depth track, positioned on a higher number than the hero posse, from that point forward, all enemies get a free elite ability as the darkness has grown stronger. I think this game shows there's a lot of, especially with these optional rules, there's a lot of ways to customize this game. I like it. And I like the idea of the way this goes. All right. What else do we need to do here? I guess there's a lot that I'm going to try to attack here today. I'm even going to I've been walking too, maybe try some running. I'm eager. I am ready to go. But I guess that pretty much does us for today. I appreciate your being here. Mike says it seems like a solid game. I think so. And it was a lot of fun. And a different theme. Wild West isn't necessarily my go-to theme. Even with movie watching and things like that, although there are some movies that I really like Tombstone, that are Wild West. Same way kind of here. All right. So next time we'll be live. This is Wednesday mornings. The next time we'll be live is tomorrow night with Better with Bacon on the Cultists YouTube channel for the watch party. So, all right, let's go. Let's go. Be creative, be productive. Maybe I'll see you in the Discord server, but I will see everybody hopefully tomorrow. Maybe we'll have a big crowd for the Halloween watch party. Otherwise, if you're going someplace else, maybe you have a Halloween party to go to and enjoy real life with people if you have a party to go to. If not, hey, hang out with us. All right, have a wonderful day, everyone. Go forth, be creative, and be constructive. Later, everybody.